Everybody, welcome to our first subcommittee meeting. Monica, just to bring you up to speed, we just voted on having this subcommittee, and that we were it was brought to our attention that we can only have 2 trustees in attendance at this meeting, so that we otherwise we have to have a trustee quorum. Lisa has stepped away. She'll still be involved because we have to still get trustees to come to, what's the word? Vote on anything.
Yeah.
But she will, won't be here every day with us or for every step of the way. So James has nominated me as chair and I have accepted, and he will be our note taker and will step in as vice chair if need be. But, hopefully we won't, things will go smoothly for now. So we can call the meeting to order at 7:07, although I should have called it to order before I said all that, but. So we basically have formed and organized our group, which was the first item on the agenda. It's, it's pretty much the 6 of us, Elena and Andrew and Lee as and then you, Monica. And then, maybe we will have some more people or can get more people to be involved, like Jane, and occasionally Dan, I think, likes to be involved, although he's got a lot going on right now. So feasibility study update. Andrew had said in our trustee meeting that we are geared to get the first installment of the $25,000, which should be going into our account soon. So we probably have to talk about, architect selection, which is the next thing. Andrew had sent out a list. I don't know if anybody had a chance to review it or look at any of the architectural firms. A couple that stuck out to me was one, the group that did the police station. And then there was another one that was fairly local. I want to say Hopkinton.
Yeah.
I like the idea of using more of a local person than like a big city firm. That's just my personal opinion, but I'm open to whatever. Because we have a budget, do we really go out for bid on? I know we don't have to have a bid, like it doesn't have to be a bidding process, but are we looking to get multiple firms to bid on the feasibility study project? Go ahead, James.
So we don't need to. The way because these are fixed grants that come forward.
Okay.
In the discussion with Jeremy, it's a fairly simple approach to the architecture firm, and say, because we're under 30,000, we're at 25,000 for our grant. We would like to use you for this feasibility study. And as he said, these firms are used to this. They have a kind of a package and a system set up, and recognize that, we only have a certain amount of dollars that we can use. And Jeremy's comment was, as long as we're following smart business practices, purchasing practices, and following obviously within the law, which is under the 30K, we can go and pick the service, the architecture service that we desire.
Okay.
So it was, in theory, we could ask others, but I would say it's going to be more, if we pick one and we're like, hey, this is who we want to go to, we go to them, talk to them. They may say, no, we're not interested. Then, we go to number 2 on our list, instead of trying to put it out to multiple ones. But that way we can kind of click down and get them turning on it even quicker.
Okay. Does anybody have any suggestions from that list, or suggestions of anyone else?
I had a couple. I went through and looked at all of them, and then just sort of clicked on the links. I don't know if anybody has experience going through these sites at all, but obviously the projects they're going to put on their sites are the ones that are kind of the flashy, not flashy ones. I don't know if ones that are sort of going to make people sit up and take notice. So what I noticed on a lot of these is that they're larger projects. That is to say, you know, for a school building or for a larger municipality's office building or whatever it might be. I didn't see a lot in terms of smaller renovations. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't do them. I found things here and there. But I know that some of them, I looked specifically like for libraries and if they had library experience. I have my thoughts, like there's a couple that I didn't. So for example, like if you talked about that one that did the police station, which is KBA.
Yeah.
As much as I think their work is really good, I just don't know, do they do like size projects like this? I mean, that is, would they even do a feasibility study for with something like this, which is a smaller building? I'm assuming most of these do feasibility studies, and so I had a few reservations with the one who did the police station. Of course, that was adaptive reuse, which I thought obviously is in our wheelhouse. That's what we're looking for. But I didn't notice a lot on their site that was specifically smaller buildings, libraries, and that sort of thing.
Right. And,
That was my take on
our
that.
police station, I didn't even notice on their site.
No, I didn't see that on there.
And the adaptive reuse portion was really a small portion of what they really did.
Right. Yeah, and I saw some interior work, which I thought was great, but then they didn't show like the exterior, so maybe it was just strictly interior work for spaces that looked a little bit closer to the space we're talking about. But that one was kind of inconclusive. I didn't know what to make of that. I don't know what others thought.
That firm, I did a little bit more digging on them because it also wasn't on the list that was presented to us as a recommended list.
Right.
That firm seems to focus far more on security, whether it be police stations or other types of buildings that have specific requirements.
Okay.
And I did not see, and from my investigation, any experience or at least showing experience with libraries or some type of use like that. I can't remember the name of the company that was in Hopkinton. I did like their site and kind of some of the examples. I will say, having worked in larger consulting firms, it's you don't often show the small projects because you're not gonna, like, especially on your webpage, you're not gonna get the draw that you may be looking for.
Right.
And you want folks to look at you and say, "Ooh, this is something that really stands out." Our project to us is going to stand out because it's amazing and it's going to help us use a space that needs to be used. But we're not going to see an example of that likely on many architect pages.
It doesn't have the quote unquote bells and whistles of what some of these others have, these larger projects.
Right.
Not that it's not worthwhile. It absolutely is, but yeah. Which was the one I was taking notes and I obviously sent out the email. Does anybody remember what the Hopkinton one was?
Yeah, I'm looking to find that email. Give me a sec.
I can grab it off of here too.
GRL, I think.
GRLA.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
I'm blind.
I'm totally fine with going to them first and seeing what they say. Let them know that we're interested in using a fairly local firm. And who does that? Is it one of us? I would assume, right? One of us would reach out.
I think that's how it would. That's how it would go.
Yeah, it seemed, from at least with Jeremy, he's someone within the board, whether it be Andrew, not within the board, but someone within the committee, whether it be Andrew or one of us. It's a phone call to get it started and see if this is something they're interested in.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward.
I mean, I'm certainly okay with reaching out and seeing if it's something that they're interested in, letting them know that we have gotten a grant from the state for $25,000. So that is our max budget, and that we're looking to do a feasibility study of an existing building and that we're really looking to create, I can go along that list that James had put together a while back, that we're really looking to create. I just had it on my desk, hold on. Losing my mind because it was literally just, here it is. You know, program spaces are our major priority. Are we still looking at additional parking at this point? Since we're redoing the parking lot, or are we tabling that part of it?
That's a good question. What did I say? I thought that we could get maybe 10 spaces out front if we decided we want to look into that, but
Okay, so we should,
that
we should at least
compromises
put
the
that as part
space
of
a
the
little bit.
feasibility study, right? It can
I would
always
say
get
it probably
scratched.
wouldn't hurt to let them know that we could extend the parking if we really wanted to, and potentially we would need to.
Okay, so program
can-
space, additional parking, certainly library storage and friend storage, maybe some small study rooms if we have the space.
Yeah.
Additional restrooms, or not necessarily additional restrooms, but
Certainly, yeah, something over on that end of
some sort of a restroom.
the facility would be good.
And then, you know, maybe they have to come out and look at the space and get an idea of if it's something they would be willing to do, and that's fine, but I can certainly start that first process of the step.
Okay.
I
And
think
and
that's awesome.
I recall when we worked with Abacus on the other feasibility study, that once they're kind of in, then what happens is they'll meet with us and they'll talk to us about needs, and we'll go back and forth. I remember going back and forth with David Eisen and the other guy quite a bit about what we were looking for that space. So I think, yeah, agreed. But yeah, I think up front, I think it's worth it to let them know the sorts of things that we're looking to do with the building. And then they can later on sort of put all of those ideas together, and we can go back and forth on exactly what we're looking for. Some of it's going to be a matter of them showing us a design, and then we'll say whether or not it works for us, because I know we had to do quite a bit of that back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, is this adequate space? Do we need to take this room out? Can you keep a couple, study rooms here? Do you want more floor space for programming? All of those things they go through. So,
Okay, and
yeah, but
remind me, the $25,000 has to be spent in the calendar year, is that correct? Or
actually
no?
within this fiscal,
Within the fiscal year, thank
within
you.
this fiscal. However, as James and I talked about it, it's the kind of thing where we might pay the last half, the 12,500, and there may still be services to be rendered,
Okay,
but you would have actually then sort of closed the loop on the expenditures and having paid them for their work. If it carries over into the next fiscal at that point, I don't think that's a huge deal. I mean, James, did that sound like
No,
what
you're
you thought?
you're absolutely right. Yeah, Jeremy made that comment. He's like, yes, technically it would be spent within the fiscal year. He's like, but for all of these grants, there's always extensions and there's always ways to move it forward as well. So he's
Right.
like, as long as it's started and moving and we're getting results back from, the process, then we're going to be fine. I
Okay.
would say though, Gay, when you speak with them, we're not looking to do this next year. We're looking to have the feasibility start tomorrow, or
Okay.
have to start the conversation so that they
All right.
understand we already have the money in pocket. We got half the funds already. We're ready to go, and we want you to come and take a look.
okay,
Because then a lot of folks reach out to companies like this and be like, hey, we're thinking about this idea. Cool. When are we going to start actually doing the idea? We get to say,
Right.
we can do the idea tomorrow.
Mhm.
right, okay. And when's our fiscal year end, just so it's
June 30th.
June 30th, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, I can certainly get that initial phone call made and start the process and just see where we stand with that. So that by, next meeting, maybe we have a firm, and what are your thoughts if say, I don't know that it'll go that smoothly, but say they say, okay, well, let me come out and see the space, and then we'll let you know whether or not it's something we can take on, then we can make arrangements to do that. And
You should
then,
probably, probably have a backup, I would think, just a backup in case they're not going to take the project on, or do we need to think about that at this point?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Do we wait and see, or do we call multiple firms at once and see who's interested and then decide who we're going with?
Hmm.
I would say a firm, well, I can't speak for all of them, but they're going to be able to tell you pretty quickly if this is one in their wheelhouse, and two, if they've got the capacity to do it starting soon. So you're going to hear pretty quickly from the folks, yes, okay, we're interested in this, and let's move on forward. It doesn't hurt for us to have a number two lined up, because it's easier. Well, two schools of thought. Both ways work. We could call multiple and then just choose whichever one says yes if we want to, or we could kind of do down the line of saying, hey, here's what we got. If they come back and say no, all right, the next day we call the next one.
Okay.
And I'm happy to help with that too. Like, don't feel like you're on an island alone there, Gay.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, I
fine.
mean-
I'll like I said,
I
can
can
make
place
the initial phone
calls
call
too,
probably
so-
tomorrow or even Monday. But then I am away for from Tuesday to the following Tuesday. So if I will certainly keep people in the loop if anything needs to happen, if I do make contact and anything needs to happen while I'm away.
Perfect.
I'm fine. Like if you need me to, contact any of these as well, let me know.
Okay.
I had one more thing that I'm just throwing in. You can just tell me, okay, this is not the point, or this is not important right now. But I talked to somebody from the senior center, and they were saying, why don't we just include somebody from that group? They did so much work there, and they're still in need of space. So maybe we can onboard them as part of our planning, or when we move forward, maybe just include them, or just make it more like a joint effort. I don't know if that is something. I'm just throwing this out. I have not
You mean like a liaison to the
Yeah.
seniors, or I
Because-
mean that.
because they need more room, and if we're doing now the groundwork for it, and have them on board already, there might be some volunteers, there might be some people willing to help on the committee, and really maybe make this a community project, not just a Taft Library project. But that's just before we move on and leave them in the dust.
Yeah, I definitely have no problem with that. I think that's kind of what we were trying to do. At one point, we were definitely trying to get, the groups joined so that we weren't going against each other, that we were working together.
Did was it a senior themselves that you spoke with that would be interested?
I think so.
Okay.
So
Did you want to? I don't know what everybody thinks. Do you want to reach back out to them to ask them if they have an interest in?
yeah, and
Being
if we
part-
have our next meeting, would it be okay then if I just reach out and invite them to join our next meeting? Because it's not something where we are an inclusive.
No, of course, we're an
So
open
many-
meeting anyways, and we would love for somebody else that wants to get involved and, help us out from a different perspective.
Okay,
So it's,
good.
can I point out though, there are multiple senior groups, so like there's the
Someone just slipped all over the place.
getting off the thing. So there's the Friends of Mendon Elders, there's the Council on Aging, and then there was the Senior Center Expansion Committee. So there are 3 separate groups, and then also the town is still continuing an investigation, so has a separate contract to look at spaces. I do think it's good. I would love to have more coordination, just so not, I guess just to consider that, like, if we want to connect with the Senior Center Expansion Committee, that is one set of people. Council on Aging is a somewhat overlapping set of people. Friends of Mendon Elders is also another set of people. So sort of like they have the friends, like the Taft Library friends, they have the Friends of Mendon Elders.
Right.
And I know like there are certainly people who like support the library, and I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. So I just want to like, you know, put it out there that there are multiple groups, and I've actually been like liaison to all three of those. So like, so I'm happy to like keep communicating, like with them, and like and yeah, so like the town has this contract with Abacus, right, who did the remodel of the current library, and they are looking at specifically evaluating spaces, and it was added to their list to look at the rectory as a, you know, potential space, so that there is that, but that's like the senior center expansion committee is kind of on hold now while the third party is doing their evaluation. But yeah, I mean, I think keeping the conversations going is good.
Go ahead,
And
James.
one of the things, yeah, thank you. When we sat down with Jeremy, one of the big reasons I wanted both Andrew and I to sit with him was a concern of duplication of effort and making
Mhm.
sure that we weren't misusing, you know, government funds, however you want to call it, municipal funds for the same type of task. Thankfully, what Abacus is doing in really kind of evaluating what are those other options out there for that, the senior center expansion committee is separate from the evaluation of what can we do with the space that we have. So we're fortunate in that respect where this grant does not duplicate spending on something else. So we're good to go to move down that road. And honestly, the more coordination we have, Monica, the better, because it's going to bring in more ideas. They're going to hear that we're being transparent and open. And the whole reason we made this shift to be a subcommittee is so that it follows all the regulations and requirements to be an open meeting, so that we can get community engagement and understand to use that space the best way we can. So I think it's awesome. I'd absolutely reach out. I think that's so cool.
Okay, then I'll definitely reach out and invite whoever I talk to that yeah, voice some interest. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else on the architect selection? So go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, so something that I thought about when I was going through these the sites, the architect websites, how much, because we touched on this a little bit, how much do we want to discuss with the architect? Are we discussing with the architect anything about the exterior look of the current building, because we're looking to architecturally sort of match the look of that rectory building to the library building? I guess what I'm saying is this a larger sort of ask? Or is it
No,
really, we're just trying to match the rectory building to what the library currently looks like? Because we talked about the envelope of the current building and how there was some concerns from people about the look. Is that, do you know what I'm getting at?
yeah, I think we've always wanted to include that as part of our ask for the feasibility study.
Okay.
You know, we'll have to see where that falls. I mean, ideally, that doesn't throw us over budget, because then if not, then we're kind of in the same predicament that we were before, that,
Right.
you know, here's this old building that we're going to take time to
Right.
renovate, but it's not going to look anything like the library.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. No matter
Right.
who's using the space, it's just still, it's
Right.
attached to us. It should look similar, I think.
Right.
I don't know. And now that we're aware that Abacus is actually the firm, I know I'm not saying that we need to put them back into the mix, but I don't know. I didn't realize the last time we talked, I don't think they had chosen a firm for the other town project of space.
So that firm, so I had initially thought that they were using it more as a larger asset management, kind of evaluating all the spaces around. That is not the case. That firm's specific task is to evaluate locations for the senior center expansion. So
Okay.
it is much more finite than I originally had thought. And when during our trustee meeting, when Andrew made the comment that Jeremy had asked to be kept up to date, part of that is as he's going to be in the intermediary or the connection with some of these abacus actions and whatnot, he'll inform them and let them know what's going on as well. So how do I phrase this? They're separate. Yes, abacus had the tasker list to evaluate and look at the rectory. My understanding is that was pretty quickly identified as too small and not enough land space to meet the desired outcome of the senior center expansion.
Okay.
Clearly not
So
enough parking either. You know, that was the big thing, I think. Anyway, sorry, go on, James.
No, you're good. That's exactly where it is. So I think we don't have any obligation to say we're going to go use abacus. Not at all.
Okay.
We have the ability to choose an organization who's going to look at what our needs are and how this could help the bigger community.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else they feel that we need to bring up for discussion at this particular meeting?
So I wanted to point out, and I don't know, sorry, it's so loud on the train, I sometimes miss it, but I think we talk about the possibility how like you don't necessarily need the rectory to match the library, because maybe at some point the library could match the rectory, like when the library needs to get repainted.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe somebody has
There's
ideas.
access to, say, CPA money as being a historic building, that like maybe CPA money like could be used for, you know, a project that is sort of enhancing the historic like features of the buildings. I feel like it doesn't have to be. I mean, didn't it come up that there was a certain amount of discomfort from some people about like the modern style of library?
Right.
It doesn't need to be older, like permanently. I mean, like, yeah, well, long, yes, but like, I feel like it is to like it's the library will need to be fixed at some point.
Yeah, so Elena, you're breaking up a little bit, but I get what you're trying to say. I think that that's definitely a possibility if when we talk to whatever firm we choose, if we say that, you know, part of the uniqueness of this building is that it does have some historic aspects to the facade, and we want to kind of maintain that to some degree. And maybe you're right. Maybe that sparks finding a way to make our current library have more of a look and feel of what we're doing over there. So yeah, maybe we don't pigeonhole ourselves into it must match the current library. I agree with that.
And it's also okay to say in the discussions with the firm, we're looking at all forms of funding. So, you know, if we say CPA funds are possible, they immediately, a smart firm's going to be like, aha, okay, so now here's, you know, we need to evaluate or show how we could keep that look. So yeah,
Okay.
I think absolutely. Cool. And to answer your other question, I didn't have any other things. I'm thankful for you guys all entrusting us to help, you know, the community. I think it's pretty cool. So.
All right, should we go ahead and if there's nothing else to bring up at today's meeting, should we go ahead and set our meeting for our next meeting?
I think that's perfect.
So we had talked about, we're gonna continue to follow the trustee meeting schedule. But we had talked about as well, possibly needing to meet more frequently. Do you think we're still too early in that stage?
I think where we are with getting the first firm on and the fact we're going to have behind the scenes calls over the next month, I don't see there's going to be a lot for this group to actively do within this next month.
Okay.
That may change as some of the bigger questions come to us about design use, different ideas. But I think for February, kind of into March, we're probably in a pretty good place to be able to follow on to the next group.
Okay. So then let's set the next meeting for March, that was March 13th, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
At 7 PM following the trustee meeting.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Excellent. And all right, so we're good to go. I'll be happy to, once I get any feedback, I will share it with the group. So everybody's on board and keep everybody in the loop as much as possible.
Perfect. Present a motion to adjourn.
I second I second your motion.
Are we
I
there
have
yet?
All in
emotions.
favor?
I have emotions about adjourning. I'm sorry.
All right, have a good night, everyone.
Have a good
You
night.
Thank you.
too.
Go ahead and stop
Good
the
to see
recording.
you. Bye.
See you too.
Bye.